Guys, welcome back to another exciting episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And as always, I remain your host, Darlington. Our guest today is Mark. Mark, welcome to the show.
Great. It's so good to be here. Thank you so very much. I'm really honored to be a part of some of the fantastic things that you've been doing. So, really privileged to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. Mark, I would like you to introduce yourself to my audience.
Sure. I've been married to the same woman for 46 years. I've got 4 children, a son and three daughters, 11 grandchildren, 7 and under. And I've been working tenaciously with some college students, mentoring, coaching, supporting them. Started a mentoring program at our church, and we're getting ready to launch that for college students there as well. So do a lot of various things with friends in the community. And none of my kids live local, so I travel as often as possible to spend time with them. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. So, our guest today believes that the cycle of giving and receiving is one of the most powerful forces for personal growth, meaningful relationships, and lasting fulfillment. Mark Motsenboka has dedicated his work to helping people develop wisdom, resilience, and a deeper sense of purpose by serving others in ways that many people overlook. His philosophy is simple but profound. Giving and receiving makes life better. Today, we will explore how changing our perspective can change our lives, why saving others is essential to personal growth, and what it truly means to live a life of significance. Mark, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Thank you. Thank you. I I am. Let me just start off by saying everything I do is really with the intent and purpose of making a difference, and I say that through habitual giving, because we need to make that our habit. We are what we repeatedly do. So greatness and excellence is not an action; it's a habit. So you make your life meaningful by applying the meaning of giving, and I truly believe that the goodness and richness is not made by what we possess; it's by what we give. I mean, if you can imagine a world where everyone gives time, energy, emotions, their substance, gifts, and talents, it would be an amazing world. It really would. Mother Teresa said, the biggest disease today is not leprosy or tuberculosis, but rather the feeling of being unwanted, uncared for, and deserted by everyone. We can change that for people throughout the world purely by giving.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. So let's get into the questions I have for you. Your philosophy is giving and receiving makes life better. What inspired that belief, and how has it shaped your life so far?
So this is really a story about becoming a better you. I truly believe that. In Proverbs 11:25, it says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And so it comes from so many various sources of kindness, caring, and concern. The book I wrote, Searching for Father, was really about my experience of trying to bring to life my dad's loss. I lost both my parents when I was 8 years old in a car accident. And so my grandmother raised me. She was widowed and 64. So I didn't have a real man in my life. And what began to happen for me as I walked through life is it brought many unseen acts that make a difference for my life. They weren't really announced or preached to me. It was just people who walked into my world with concern and commitment to help and to give to me. And I am a believer that if you seek, you will find. And that's the wonderful blessing, I think, that life provides, because it's a choice. The seeker will see the conscientious giver when they arrive. And there's beauty in that, because it does make a better you. So the story is really about sacrificial practicing What I've come to know is kind of my mantra: doing for others what no one else is willing to do. And I say that because everybody has a need. I don't have all the answers to life, but I know everybody has a need. And what's that need? It's relationships. It's the essence of life. And so the power of giving to those who aren't really expecting anything in return is this blessing that you bring by just lovingly giving to them. Aldous Huxley said, experience is not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you. And that's really what I've had to work on my whole life. This doing for others what no one else is willing to do has really been a beautiful thing because people have all sorts of needs. Some people just need someone that listens to them. Some people just need someone that empathizes with them. Some people just need some guidance and direction. Some people just need some support, affirmation. And so the miracle about this for me is habits breed habits. Life is about being constant in mind and heart, but changing in action and generously giving. It's really about inspiring others to believe and enabling them, that belief, to become really a better them. Because we really, truly, I love this quote, we are what we do, and we get more of what we are because of what we do. So I really think that's a part of the process. As I began to walk through life, I had these incredible individuals, the most unsuspecting places and times. They were neighbors, they were coaches, they were family friends, they were relatives, they were bosses, but they provided me with such gifts of care, concern, affirmation, and support. Winston Churchill says it the best, right? He says, to each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do an incredibly special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for what would have been their finest hour. So I can tell you for sure, I was incredibly blessed by father figures in my book as I got them in their finest hour. That's how special they are, and they will always be in my heart. Because let me just say that there are missed opportunities to give, and that's a loss that can never be regained. So when you walk through life, you meet people for a reason, and I believe that. I believe there's no chance, there's no fate. Everything in my life is by design. And so when you meet people, you have this great opportunity to either give to them what they need, influence them in ways that they need to be influenced, or to receive from them and be influenced or be given from them what you need. For me, the prime element about all of this is stated by Jesus. He said, for God so loved that he gave his son, that whosoever believes on him should not perish but have everlasting life. So love is the pinnacle element to all of life. And the key action of love is giving. C.S. Lewis said, love is never wasted, for its value does not rest on reciprocity. And this is further backed by the creation of the world and the universe. It's all a giving entity. And that, to me, that's so valuable because I do believe God's in control. Love is the prime mover and pinnacle, and giving is the action of a life of good. Psalm 68:5 says, a father to the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy dwelling. I want to note here, God's holiness is not just about purity, it's about relational justice. He cares for the fatherless in a reflection of his divine character. So God's identity as a father to the fatherless is not metaphorical, it's deeply personal. He sees, he acts, he invites his people to do the same. And whether through advocacy, provision, or presence, we're all called to embody his love for those who feel abandoned and alone. So I call that the whole premise of what God does at the very beginning. I call it my cycle of divine abundance, because I can't say I have all the answers, but I do know that everyone needs, and everyone needs lovingly to be given to. That's so critical. Let me further add a caution. for everyone to remind what Socrates shares. These are great words. Those that are hardest to love need it the most.
Okay, Mark, I read a book that I've forgotten the name of the book. The book said giving is the same thing as receiving. I think it's the miracle of the world, something like that. I don't know. So what do you have to say about that? Is giving the same thing as receiving?
So I do believe that it creates the opportunity for us. It does in your sense. It's the same. The receiving part is because it makes a better you, and that's where I think the ability for that to happen, people miss, right? So let me just give you a little further backdrop to that, because God creates the world, He creates the universe, and He works laboriously to do that, and He creates everything, and then He creates man. So He creates the whole world, creates all of nature, creates the stars, the sun, the moon, and then He creates man. And so all of that that's created before man arrives is God's loving giving to humanity, right? So when you think about the world, it's really a living, giving process that provides for all our needs to exist and grow. For instance, the vegetation of the world doesn't consume all the fruits and vegetables that they produce. The snow and the rain and the rivers don't consume the waters they provide. All the fragrant flowers don't take in all the glorious smells they produce. The sun and the moon don't benefit from their own light. The fact is that all these elements and everything else on the earth is for our benefit, constantly giving to nurture our existence and to make our life better. For me, that is an empirical lesson to learn and provide as we walk through life. Giving is the chief enterprise of nature and the universe from God. And we should emulate this as a part of our daily thoughts, habits, and actions. In fact, Proverbs 11:25 says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed, which I believe is God entrusting by empowering each of us to be a blessing. For the more we give, the more He gives back to us. And I do call that this cycle of divine abundance. So Jesus even states in Matthew 7:12, therefore, whatever you want others to do for you, do the same for them. And so it's all about what you give is what you're going to get in return. I say all this because what's different about the rest of what God creates and us is we get a choice. The rest of the world, the rest of the universe doesn't get to choose. The sun can't come up tomorrow and say, I'm burned out on being hot. I think I'm going to chill for a while. That's not happening. Nor can an apple tree produce any other fruit than it's designed, created to provide. But we get to choose every day. You and I get to choose. We get to make good choices, right? And so why? What's the point here? Right? We don't just live on the earth. We live with it, in it, and through it. And the crucial concept people need to grasp, understand, and assimilate is interdependence is not optional. Our task is not to master nature, but to learn to live and labor in harmony with its generosity. The earth doesn't give to us because we deserve it. It gives to us because that is what the earth does. So listen, as we tread through this world, everything we touch affects the design of the future. I do believe that in the scheme of time, we are but children on this earth. And of course, of the time we have here, if we are not conscientious, we too can begin to think of ourselves as God. And I believe that's our dilemma sometimes. For me, my family on earth is everywhere there's a face. We can actually be a part of giving others a reason to smile. And because of me, everywhere we go, we can have family. Those who we need, and in fact, they need us too. So every day, we should see those we encounter as blessings. Just like the giving of nature, where blessing abounds through giving. The reality is, it's just a really beautiful thing that we have in nature, because it's the gift that keeps on giving. No matter how much we mess with the world, it still comes back and gives us what we need. So we are what we do, and we get more of what we are because of what we do. So I do think there's this, it's not done for a desire to get anything, but by giving, you do get.
Okay, Mark, I was going to ask you a particular question, but I think you might have provided me the answer. But I still don't feel okay about the answer because talking about why I don't receive more love or why I don't receive more help or encouragement from other people. And I think you have answered it already when you said that I would need to give more love and more encouragement and more help to others. Sorry. So I think I do give love. I do give encouragement, Mark, but I don't receive. Why is that the case?
Let me just break it down this way. And this is maybe a little bit of a deep thought for people. But Jesus said, greatest in the kingdom is servant of all. He then goes on to say, number one in the kingdom is slave of all. If you want to find your life, you need to lose your life. So the point he's trying to make there is that our truest best, the very best that Mark can ever give anybody he encounters, is by just giving. It's just by giving. And you have to be careful of that because people can take advantage of you. You have to be discerning. You have to be wise to know when they're trying to take advantage of you. But for the most part, it's very, very critical that you understand, everybody understands, that we have this opportunity, this choice, this way to make a better me as I walk through the world. And I don't necessarily need to get anything in return for that because I feel better because of what I've done. Let me just give you one quick example of how that works. This is where it started for me in a very dynamic way. I was about 20 years old. I'd left my house and I was on my way to do some shopping. And as I pulled out onto the boulevard, I noticed a little lady standing on the street corner curb next to her car with a flat tire. And I thought to myself, oh, my word. I pulled over and I got out of the car and I said, can I help you change your tire? And she said, oh, would you do that? I said, sure. And so I began to change her tire. Then she was asking me questions, very nice lady. As I was finishing up and putting everything in the trunk, she said to me, where did you grow up? I said, well, I grew up over here in Paramount, not too far from here. And she goes, oh, my word, where did you live in Paramount? I said, I lived on San Juan Street down by the riverbed there at the end of the street. And she goes, oh, my goodness, who were your neighbors? I said, well, the Ottmans lived on the right and the Kellys lived on the left. And her face grew totally blank. And she leaned over next to me and she said, you're not one of the Motzenbacher boys, are you? I was shocked. And I said, I am. And she goes, I've been praying for you and your brothers since the day your parents died. And I'm telling you, you can't imagine how good it was to do good for that lady. She wanted to give me some money. And I said, no, absolutely not. You're not going to pay me. No. She was insistent. I said, you keep praying for me. That's the greatest thing you could ever give a person. And I'm so blessed because of what you've done for me. And so one of the things I want people to understand is life is a big piece of life that's important is hope. And I found this quote by Ling Yutang. He says, hope is like a road in the country. There was never a road, but when many people walked on it, the road came into existence. And I want to encourage everybody to walk the road of giving. I really do, because I think today in our world, the more high tech it becomes, the more people crave high touch. There's so much to be able to give to so many people in so many ways. And it doesn't have to be hard work, but it has to be intentional. It has to be. You have to think in the morning before you start your day, where's the opportunity for me to give to someone today? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I walk a lot. I say hi to people when I pass them. And I offer to help sometimes. A guy was working in his yard and he was trying to get some roots out of a tree, out of the ground. And I said, can I help you with that? He says, I don't know, can you? I said, well, I will if you want me to. And I helped him with that. And we shook hands and I walked away. All good. It's all good. When you do good, life is good. Hopefully that answers your question.
That answers my question. Thank you so much, Mark. So moving on, in in today's fast-paced world, because the world today is quite very, 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 very fast-paced. So, how do you think we can navigate the rapid changes in the world as, should I say, as a Christian or a believer in faith?
I think I would say a couple of different things. I think I would say a couple of things people need to understand. From my perspective here, when God created us, he says you're going to need to work. 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 He says 6 days you're going to work. Seventh day you get to spend time with me, and you need to worship me and appreciate me, and you need to contemplate what a life with me is like, right? So, but a big conclusion I came to early in life is you've got to embrace change. To me, that's an absolute critical. I had problems as a child fearing the unknown of every day, but I found that change is inevitable for growth. And together meaning me and humanity and anybody else I touch, together we can shift pain into wonder and love. But it's up to us to conscientiously and intentionally create that connection. And I think I begin every day at there used a thing there for a long time in my career. People were always saying at the end of the day, at the end of the day, at the end of the day. Boy, at the end of the day, it's okay to contemplate at the end of the day, but it's done. The day's over. My thoughts, my mantra is at the beginning of the day. I want to be building a world that gives relentlessly. I want to give the opportunity for others to be a better them. And it doesn't make any difference whatever stage you're at in life. You need to consider the profound legacy you build simply by giving your inherent gifts and talents. I believe that each of us has an undeniable capacity to make a lasting difference in and through our giving to others. And so I know and I live by this fact. People are not the creatures of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of people. And if you can help in that way for people, that's just a marvelous gift, right? Life is neither good or bad, but thinking makes it so. You get two people, they're trash collectors, right? One's whistling all day. The other one's stressing, pushing, trying to figure it out. We're not going to get done. We got to get back. We got to get finished, right? And that's just purely the choice. It's the choice. And when you make the good choices, they make life better. They just make life better. I mean, I'll say it again, make this your habit because we are what we repeatedly do. Greatness and excellence is not an act. It's a habit. So we need to develop habits in life that says, this is who I am. This is what I'm all about. And then we need to do all that with hope for the future, right? That the future contains so much for us. But if we don't have the hope to get there, if we don't have the focus, I mean, many of the people I talk to, they live in the past. This happened to me when I was growing up, and this happened to me, and this was bad. And part of the reason I wrote the book was I had a good friend who has a father, physical father, he's still alive, but they don't have a relationship at all. And you can see there's a void in his heart. There's a void in his life because he doesn't have that connectivity with the man who was a part of his actual creation. And it's a burden. Tony Dungy said, fatherlessness is a silent epidemic. It doesn't just leave children without a dad. It leaves them without part of themselves. And I believe that's so true. I believe that's so true. It is the reason so many people have faltering things and faltering issues in their life because they don't have that connection with them. So I do believe it's being a champion of change and helping people understand change is a good thing. And I believe it's helping people understand that life is hard work, right? The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. My kids heard that a gazillion times when they were growing up. You want to be good at soccer? You got to work at it. You want to be good at math? You got to work at it. You want to be able to play that instrument? Great. You got to work at it. Life is work. Life is work. As a matter of fact, I'll go so far to say in the last couple of years, I've been studying. Guess what? There's no retirement in the Bible. Nobody ever retires. Nobody. You can't find one that does. They work. they work and they work. And most of them give. They give in miraculous ways. They give in ways that say, this could cost me my life. Yes, it could. And it did. But they work. And so my life is consumed with being able to work and fashion my day to be able to give in a meaningful way for anybody I can encounter. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Mark. So I'm learning a lot just from this, and I cannot imagine what my audience.
Pardon? One more time?
Said I'm learning a lot from this, and I cannot imagine my audience as well. So let's talk about generosity and gratitude work. They work together to create a more fulfilling life. Uh, Mark, I'm in a point in my life where I feel like my generosity is people pleasing. Why is that the case, and what should I do?
Well, I think it comes back to my mantra about doing for others what no one else is willing to do. We can be creatures of habit in a bad way as well as a good way. So we can interact with people. Let me just say it this way. When I meet with people, there's no distractions when I'm with others. No self-seeking element, nothing but focused attention on those that I'm with. And this is really critical because if I'm really good, I will see the need. It will come to me. It will come to me. Sometimes people get emotional with me and they cry. And I've done nothing to cause the crying. I'm just saying, tell me more about that. Well, tell me how that made you feel. Well, tell me, what are you going to do with that? Tell me how are you going to approach that? I worked in business, and for years, this is going to sound a little off track, but it's not. But many women that I worked with were starving for someone to just listen to them. That's all they wanted. They just wanted, because why? Because they were busy working, their spouse was working, they had children. It was go, 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 go. And everybody was on their own agenda. Everybody was doing their own thing. And so all I did was listen. And people would tell me all the time, I so appreciate you. You're so good. I didn't do anything but just listen, right? I can tell you when my kids were growing up, we always had dinner every night. You had to be home for dinner every night. Occasional soccer practice or something might change that, but that's occasional. It's almost always we were together. And I can't tell you how many kids of my friends wanted to come and have dinner with us because it was about us. It was conversation. It was good conversation. It was caring. It was listening. It was sometimes saying something that a sibling didn't want to hear. But it's okay. We need to have those discussions. But I think when you're thinking about your giving, I'm not sure what you're thinking in that regard. Is it looking for a new way to make that person a better person? Because you can help shift the pain to wonder and love. But I think that still has to be conscientious and intentional when you're there with them and you're paying very, very close attention to them. It's critical because when you do for others what no one else is willing to do, I'll tell you right now, Darlington, they can't find you anywhere else. You have loyalty, you have friendship, the likes of which most people never, ever get to understand because they keep coming back to you because you're the only one that provides what they truly need. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, sure, Mark. That makes a lot of sense. So I believe we can be able now to distinguish between generosity and people pleasing. Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who feels they have nothing valuable to offer to others?
I think everybody has something valuable to offer, but it begs the deeper question: who are you? So one of the men in my book was named Emmett. I worked in Sequoia National Park for a summer. Emmett made all the signs for the park, bathroom, and there was an arrow underneath it pointing towards where the restroom was. no parking, trail this way, trail that way. Camp rules sometimes were put up on there. And so I loved working with Emmett. I loved working with Wood. And towards the end of my time there, before I left, he turned to me one afternoon as I was leaving. I worked 6 days, and then I'd go over often on my day off and help him. He said, "Hey, I want you to do me a favor." I said, "Sure. What's that?" He says, "I want you to write your eulogy and bring it to me." And I looked at him. I said, "My eulogy?" He goes, "Yeah. I was 19 years old." And he said, "I've written mine." I said, "Emmett, it's not just being disrespectful, but you're like, what, 82? Probably appropriate." But I said, "I'm only 19. He goes, just do me a favor. Put down what you want people to think about you when you're gone." I said, "Okay." I went back. I worked on that. I wrote that. I brought it back. About 2 weeks later, he had asked me a couple of times, "How you coming?" I said, "I'm working on it." He looked at it. He says, "This is a pretty good start." But he said, "Is that really what you want people to remember?" He says, "I want you to dig deep into who are you? And what do you want to be when this life is over?" And that forced me to really go back and reconsider that. I did. I rewrote it. I came back. He read it. He got a smile on his face. He goes, now, Mark, this is the real value." And why is it a value? Because every time you have to make an important decision in your life, you go back and read this. And if that decision doesn't agree with who you want to become, you don't do it, son. You walk away from it. That was probably one of the most profound gifts that was ever given to me. I rewrote that when I got married. I rewrote it when I had my son and my children, my 3 daughters. And now that I have a lot of grandkids, I probably need to rewrite it and update it to some degree. But what a profound impact he had on me. And he really didn't do much of anything. He just guided me. So sometimes we can see in people a need. I coach and mentor young men, and it's this exact same thing I do with them. Some of them embrace it. They run, they work on it. They come back. We talk about it. Some of them put it off. They keep saying, I'm working on, right? I can't force people to do what I think is good for them, but I can certainly encourage them. And so as my relationship grows with them and they come to see that I really have a vested interest in their future, in what they could do with their lives and their talents and their gifts, they'll come full circle. They'll come back to me. But Emmett touched my life in a very, very dramatic way and had a huge impact on me. And so did he ever foresee that? I think he did. I think he saw something in me and he wanted to guide me and direct me in that. But again, everybody has a gift. Everybody has something that they can offer. Some of the most precious people I know are mentally challenged, but they're precious. They're just absolutely precious. The smile on their face when you make them happy. And sometimes for them, you don't have to do anything. They don't even conscientiously understand. And while they can communicate, they're not deep thinkers. But you give them an ice cream, boy, that just changes their whole world. That's their day. You made their day. So it can be very, very profound. But what we do to give is when we embrace the understanding of what there might be a need. And again, if you love people, it's difficult sometimes because those who need love the most are sometimes the hardest to grasp it and embrace it.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. This has been very, very exciting. Thank you for sharing your insights and reminding us that a meaningful life is built not only by what we accomplish, but by how we serve and encourage and invest in others. I'm so happy to be a Christian listening to you, being someone who loves God and who loves Jesus. And I hope this message can be very, very transformational for other people out there. So, Mark, if everyone listening could begin practicing one principle today that would improve both their own life and the lives of those around them, what would you want that principle to be?
Well, I can tell you, typically the biggest introduction you can give to somebody is a smile. And I often say, smile, it improves your face value. But I really do think one of the most miraculous people I know, she was from Haiti. She smiled all the time. She smiled all the time. You didn't see her without a smile on her face. It was, and it was refreshing and it was appealing. And so I would say, you know, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. So as I walk, I smile. I pass people, I smile. I say hi, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, how are you? But and most people, even if they've got earbuds in, they'll smile and nod back to me, right? They get it. But I think it's that first encounter that you have with people is the opportunity to really kind of set the tone. And again, it's unlikely when, where, why, and how. But if you have a mindset that says, I want to be approachable and I want people to see that I'm really a good person. And a good's a nebulous word, I think, in our world. But if you truly have that in your heart and your mind, I think God will honor that and bring opportunities that maybe you never saw.
Right. Thank you so much. This has been very, very exciting. I really appreciate you taking out your time to be here, Mark. So, for those who want to connect with you and learn more about what you do, how can they do that? Hi, Mark. Hello, Mark. Are you there?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I will. I'll jump a little bit here into the unknown, but I'll give you my personal email and I will always respond. You can count on that. So if you got questions, you've got thoughts, you want to have a discussion, feel free to reach out to me. It's mlmots80@gmail.com. I'm also on Pinterest and I'm on, I can't remember. I belong to several things, but I'm on Pinterest and I'm on Threads. So the Pinterest I'm on living_giving. So you can contact me there. I do have a website. It's New Dimensions, intlco.com. And you can reach out to me there and connect with me there. All I want to do is give. So I know this sounds a little trite, but the reality is that's who I am.
Hey, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you for listening to. Thank you for coming and thank you for teaching us about giving and receiving. Thank you all for listening to Control or Be Controlled. And if this conversation inspires you, share this episode with someone who could use a fresh perspective on purpose, generosity, and personal growth. Until next time, remember, a life of impact begins when you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
You too.